Right now in Israel, they passed the first of 3 votes regarding hanging and public execution, execution of Palestinian prisoners. Now, this is incredibly controversial because the only requirement for it is if a Palestinian kills an Israeli, despite any of the circumstances. Even, for example, if a settler broke into a Palestinian's house and tried to murder their family, and the Palestinian decided to fight back in self-defense, it doesn't matter because, of course, the Israelis will create any narrative they want to justify execution of Palestinians. So this is causing a lot of international backlash, and Israelis are very well aware that this is causing international backlash as well. This is heavily being pushed right now by Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's Israel's security minister. And Netanyahu, if you're aware of how Israel's internal politics work, Netanyahu basically just allows, and it's not as if Netanyahu's against this sort of stuff, but he really does kind of allow Ben-Gvir and Smotrich as well, the finance minister, to have their way because it's the only possible way to keep the coalition together. And Ben-Gvir has threatened to leave Israel, to leave the coalition if this legislation doesn't pass. If you know how coalitions work in Israel, basically you need to keep the coalition together, 61 Knesset members, in order to pass legislation. If the coalition falls apart, a new coalition may form, and if that's not possible, eventually the Knesset basically collapses and new elections have to be had. And prior to 2023, prior to October 7th, Israel's Knesset was consistently falling apart. They were just unable to maintain cohesion, and it was causing a lot of internal problems. So this bill, again, now advanced, and there's EU officials that are calling for trade sanctions on Israel. If you know how the EU works, the chances of any sort of unanimous sanctions on Israel are slim to none at this point because there are too many factors, there are too many governments in the EU that are staunchly pro-Israel and simply won't leave Israel. One of the most, of course, being Germany. Germany's incredibly pro-Israel. They cite the fact that the Holocaust, they feel an moral obligation to support Israel, Hungary as well. So there's a lot of countries that simply will just not leave Israel, despite the fact that we hear Ireland and Spain speaking out in support of Palestinians, speaking out in opposition to Israel. The idea of unanimous sanctions on Israel, even by the EU, which is Israel's largest trading partner, are slim. What we're going to get from the EU, though, is what we've already been getting, and they've already put out a statement condemning this, stating that it violates human rights and that it's incredibly concerning and that they're really worried about it. But what we're going to get is a lot of talk. However, some EU officials are speaking up, one of them being an Irish MEP, and he stated EU-Israeli trade agreement would have to be suspended if Israel's death penalty for Palestinian prisoners is enacted. Israeli government ignores international law in Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and now Lebanon, but this law would force suspension. It's a bit too hopeful. Here's a Guardian article. Israel's parliament has advanced a contentious bill to impose the death penalty on Palestinians convicted of terrorism to its final vote. And what's terrorism really mean to Israel? I mean, terrorism to Israel could mean a Palestinian that throws stones at a tank in the occupied West Bank. The legislation initiated by far-right Otzma Yehudit party led by National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has drawn sharp criticism from opponents who warn it would mark a significant escalation in Israel's penal policy. Members of that party have worn new-shaped pins in support of the policy. And here's Ben-Gvir and the rest of other individuals in his party literally just wearing pins of nooses. I mean, where else do you see that? That's not something... This is insane. This is insane. This is very reminiscent of 1940s Germany, this sort of action. This is kind of what's going on now. And this is no longer a democracy. These people are incredibly radicalized. They don't view Palestinians as human whatsoever. So these are the individuals that are now really pushing this. They're laughing about it. There's also a video of Itamar Ben-Gvir just blatantly showing the news that they want to be using on Palestinians. Here's a different video of Itamar Ben-Gvir going to Palestinian prisoners as well, and just laughing at them. He's here showing the Israel flag. So this is really how things are going inside Israeli politics. This was a previous video from last year where he was just basically kicking out a Palestinian from their home. This is what's going on. Initially, this was thought it wasn't going to pass. A lot of Israeli officials were stating that this could cause a lot of problems for Israelis, but now it seems like they're just going along with it regardless. Now, of course, it's not just Ben-Gvir that is incredibly supportive of this and dehumanizes Palestinians. Today, there was an Israeli politician stating that there are no innocent children. There are no innocent children in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin. And he fully supports the IDF killing children. So this is insane. Take a listen to this and let's talk about it.
כל גיבוי מלא. ובג'נין אין אזרחים חפים מפשע. בג'נין אין לחימה אפשרית. אני מגבה את לוחמי צה"ל בכל
Thought this had an English translation, but I'll just go ahead and read it, and you can see the captions here as well. Every possible stage, I back the IDF fighters in every situation. Even if the price is killing children or women, it doesn't interest me. We back our fighters at any price, and no matter what the result. First of all, full backing. And in Jenin, the West Bank city, there are no innocent civilians. There are no innocent children. Those same ones who were born in 2006 in the expulsion from Gush Katif, they are the Nakbas of 2026 or on the 7th of October. And therefore, I do not even have a bit of any kind of feeling of mercy for Palestinians. You know, I wish I could say that this was just one Israeli politician, but no, this is just kind of Israeli society. This is absolutely what they all believe. And this is what they want. They want to do this across the West Bank. And despite this, there's not going to actually be any action taken from the European Union aside from just strong condemnation. I think we are, despite all of this, and, the headline for this video is EU going to actually turn on Israel? I think that what's going to actually happen, and I do still believe Israel is going to collapse, I think it's going to be because of it becoming a pariah state and because of its own internal problems. You can't have this going on for the next 50 years and think that a country could still survive being this radicalized. Internally, the domestic issues within Israel are simply just going to internally collapse. This is unsustainable. But this is where we're at now, and so far, with U.S. backing, Israel's allowed to do this. Israel's allowed to do whatever it wants to Palestinians, and the world still strongly in support of all of this. So we'll just have to see how things move forward. Right now, it's March 26th. Before the end of this month, they're supposed to have another vote on this. And again, Itamar Ben-Gvir stated that if this does not pass, he'll just drop out of the coalition, which means the entire coalition will just collapse in on itself. And of course, Netanyahu can't have that because he still wants to be ruler of Israel. He still wants to run Israel. And if the coalition collapses and it's unable to form a new coalition, well, that's going to cause some serious problems. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you guys go ahead and just click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. It helps me reach more people like you. Also, one of the best ways you can support my channel is by joining as a member. So if you click the join button below next to the subscribe button, it's about $5 a month, and you get to see member-only videos I do every single day for you guys. Otherwise, have a great day, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.